have now shown they can beat the Russians in battle, not just outmaneuver them.
Well, as Ola mentioned in that report, lots of enthusiasm and positive images in Ukraine for this successful counteroffensive. But of course, the human cost is also considerable. In fact, we can talk now to Jake Hanrahan from Popular Front. He's a documentary filmmaker and war reporter and worked in Ukraine earlier in the year interviewing a military unit of anti-fascist football hooligans. Jake, thanks very much for joining us. It's been revealed actually that the unit's commander, that's Yuri Samyolenko, died fighting in the east of Ukraine. I mean, what sort of a cost is a figure like that in terms of the bigger picture of this conflict?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's really sad. Yuri died earlier this morning. It's a real big situation for them because obviously they're, volunteer fighters. They want to protect their people, protect their country. And within, very quickly, the counteroffensive went very well for them. And then suddenly their commander is dead. By all accounts, he was a very good commander and he managed to lead them on their counteroffensive. None of them died. And unfortunately, he was the one that went. So, yeah, it's a big situation for them. But I spoke to them today, and they were like, "Look, we take what he taught us and we keep going."
I mean, it's a confusing title for this group, isn't it? Anti-fascist football hooligans. I mean, how much of a sort of orderly group is that?
Well, I spent some time with them just before they went out to the front, and they've spent, around 15 years now fighting with the kind of, far right subculture that is in Eastern Europe. They went everywhere, Ukraine. And, they were the only anti-fascist group doing that very explicitly. So they were a big target. So actually, they're very well organized because they already had this kind of friendship, kind of for better or worse on the streets fighting with people they disagree with because they want to protect their friends who are gay or, ethnic minorities or whatever. So for them, they already felt like they were up against everybody for years. So now that Russia's come, they've kind of called a truce with the other groups and said, right, there's a bigger enemy. So actually they're like really well organized because, like I said, they've been engaged in, serious fist fights for a long time. But obviously now they've got weapons. It's a much bigger enemy. But from what I hear, they're doing well. And they've got very good discipline. A lot of them are like straight edge. They don't drink, they don't smoke. So they're very disciplined people.
Interesting. I mean, I know you've been embedded effectively on both sides, haven't you, with separatist forces in Donbass, but also with Ukrainian ground forces. We've just seen a lot of images from Orla's report. They're not our images, they're Ukrainian forces' images. How much of this latest talk of sort of reversal of fortunes, which is retaking these important towns and cities, how valid is all that, do you think?
I think it is. I mean, there has definitely been a little bit of kind of, people trying to put out maybe more positive messages than what is reality, which is obvious in war. But a lot of it is definitely serious. I'm speaking to people, friends out there, former people I've been filming with. And they're sending me stuff and not stuff that's not on the news, stuff that's not online yet. And it's very like it seems to be that a lot of the Russian troops are just kind of their lines are collapsing. Not too sure what it is. Pro-Russian people are saying it's a tactic. It will be a very strange tactic because a lot of them are actually dying and a lot of their stuff is getting left behind. So I think, the Ukrainians are doing really well, but also there's a problem. You see it on social media, on the kind of Telegram channels from the Russians, and they're saying like, we're not being supplied properly. We're not getting orders. So there's clearly some kind of problem on their side. So I guess that kind of lends itself to the Ukrainian counteroffensive.
I think we were also hearing from some people recognizing it's not as if this turnaround means that the war will soon be over. Clearly, it's not going to work like that. And we're talking about Russia here. I mean, if they have a setback, one would presume there will be a determined effort to reverse that again.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, okay, a counteroffensive, it's going well. But like you said, I mean, there is no way they're just going to go, okay, let's leave now. I mean, they can't, they have to save face. And they started this, they said it was going to be 3 days. Clearly, that's not true. But there's no way they're just going to step off now. They'll regroup, something else will happen. There's been some news that they've been recruiting people from all over the world, from various kind of, allies to Russia. So I definitely think that we will see, I guess, a counteroffensive. But for the moment, it's not looking good. And a lot of their troops seem to have very low morale. I mean, there are people in the Russian military that are getting kind of disciplined or sent to prison for speaking out online about how bad the conditions are. So I definitely think things are bad, but no, I think you're right. It's no sign that the war is nearly over or anything like that.
Okay.
But I think it's a sign that, you know, Ukrainians have got a lot left in them, and they're not going to just like, you know, let their family and their neighbors perish because Russia took so much land.
Jake, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Jake Hanrahan, thank you.